Welcome to More Than a Few Words, marketing conversation for business owners. This is your host, Lorraine Ball, and I am so excited about this conversation because I get to talk to somebody who I really like talking to. Lori Highby is a returning guest, and what you should know about Lori is she's the president and CEO of Keystone Click. Since she founded this digital marketing firm in 2008, a lot has changed since then, but Lori has helped small businesses and Fortune 500s recognize their deep value, sort through bewildering array of digital clutter, and identify the best tools and strategies to amplify that value and achieve the results they want. And she's also the host of the Social Capital Podcast. So, Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for inviting me back, Lorraine. Excited to be here.
I am always excited to talk to somebody else who has a passion for marketing and digital the way I do.
Totally.
But to, but today I really want to dive into websites and something that I think is really important to get out there. This idea that it's not just pretty, but your website's got to do some serious work.
Oh, yeah. I mean, really, if you think about it, your website can be your 24/7 salesperson if it's built the right way.
Okay, so I'm about to start working on my website. Where do I start if I want to build it the right way?
Yeah. So, I mean, with anything in marketing, and I know you know this, you need to understand your ideal customer and what is the pain that they have and make sure that you're speaking to that pain. Because typically, if you think about that customer journey and how people are trying to find the solution to their problem, they're going to Google, here's the pain that I have. And then your website's going to show up if you're talking about that pain. So then let's talk about what happens on that page when they land on it. First and foremost, it needs to be clear and obvious what it is that you do. So if they're typing in, I have this challenge, how do I fix it? You need to be speaking and say, this is exactly what I do. Because if you don't, what happens?
Well, people are going to leave. So
Yeah.
let's dive into that a little bit. How do I decide what's the most important pain or what do I really talk about so that I make sure when people come, I'm saying the right things, they know they're in the right place.
Yeah. So every single page should be focusing on one specific pain. You don't want to try to put everything on one page. So because if you think about the results of Google, we're always looking for that one very clear answer to our very clear question that we entered in. So don't try to answer all of the world's problems on one page. You focus on one page at a time. And that's really where that kind of search engine optimization plays a factor into that as well.
Okay. I want to talk about the pages themselves
Okay.
because it's great. I've got you came,
Yep.
you saw. How do I get you to stay? How do I get you to convert? What do I do on that page?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple of things. I call it the Billboard test because when you're driving down the freeway, you have 7 seconds to capture someone's attention, basically, right? Same thing with a website. If you didn't capture their attention, they're hitting the back button, like you said, and they're looking for something else that's going to solve their problem. So when someone lands on that page, again, that message needs to be clear and obvious what it is that you do. And we like to, that's where your unique value proposition should come into play. We call it the XYZ statement. We do X, and what is it that you do? Who do you do it for? That's the Y. And what is the benefit that they get by working with you to solve that problem? That's the Z. So we build websites for contractors and construction and manufacturing companies so that they can attract new business to their organization. The second thing that's important is the proof that you can do it. We have to have trust. There's so much incorrect information online that we need to prove that we can do it. And that's where you can show clients that you've worked with. You can have testimonials, organizations that you're affiliated with, any sort of press or media exposure. So you need to establish that trust right away. And then third part of that test then is what do I do next? You'd be surprised how many websites, and I've experienced this, I'm sure you have too, like, oh, this seems really interesting. I want to buy from them or I want to attend or whatever. And I'm like, how do I do it? We have to make it easy to click the button, call to action, sign up for the thing, add to cart, whatever it is, and not make our visitors work once we've proven that we can do the thing for them.
I whenever I talk to somebody who talks about that last step, I always think about those late night commercials,
Mm-hmm.
where you're watching and they're slicing and they're dicing and you buy the knives, and right before you're ready to click away, they start screaming, "Wait, there's more."
Mm-hmm.
And so I always think you got to have that more, that click this button, and if you're not sure, wait, there's even more.
Yep.
And I, I think business owners often make the mistake of thinking their customers are smarter than they are.
Well, we're constantly being bombarded with messages from all different mediums and angles, perspectives, shiny bright lights. So the less that someone has to think about the next step they have to take, the more likely they are going to take that next step. So make it
Mhm.
easy and like multiple call to actions for the same type of action you want them to take, multiple messages, I should say. You don't want to overwhelm and give them 10 different options because then they're going to be numb and not make any decision.
Mhm.
Um, so, yeah, that's really important.
Okay, so what you've really been describing are landing pages or blog posts or interior pages that people come to after they have asked a specific question.
Correct. Yep.
And so you get to that very specific. But what about my home page?
Hmm.
How important is it? What should I be putting on my home page, recognizing that a lot of people may never even actually get there?
Yeah, that's great question. So I like to think of the homepage as a choose your own adventure kind of framework a little bit. So you do want to have that very clear and obvious, overarching, universal value proposition. That should be the first thing. So again, it's if someone's going direct to their homepage, they know exactly what you do and who you do it for. And then that's where you can kind of highlight the different, either the industries you serve or the different offerings you provide, or some of that educational stuff. And that's where it's kind of that choose your own adventure type of
Mhm.
style framework. But that's really the only place that I would recommend kind of having all of the things that really are the gateway into the different sections of your website.
Okay, I want to flip it around and ask the next question.
Okay.
Um, we've talked about the homepage, we talked about the landing page,
Hmm.
and I fill out your form. I click, maybe it's not necessarily a buy now,
Hmm.
because maybe it's a, like you work with manufacturing and construction companies. People don't buy now by placing an order
No,
on
they
a
don't. Nope.
website.
Nope.
So they've taken that step after they fill out the form. What's the experience on the back end after they've done that? What do I do? What page do I take them to? What should I do to make them feel good about their decision to work with me?
That's a great question and often one that is overlooked. I can promise you
Mhm.
that just from my own experiences. This is like that first impression of what it's going to be like to work with you. So you want to make that kind of exciting and you don't want any sort of regret to happen when they filled out this form.
Mhm.
And I love that you bring this up because one of the things I always advocate for businesses to do is to walk in the shoes of their customer. Call the company. Are you happy with how that's being answered and responded? Filling out the forms. Are you getting the experience that you were expecting? So, depending on what form is filled out and where they are in that customer journey, as you talked about, you should have that thank you page, always a thank you page, that's kind of guiding them into that next step of the journey. So
Mhm.
if it's like, hey, I'm interested in working with you, that's the form they're filling out. That would be a great time to have some proof, some testimonials or stats of what you've done to succeed and help to just reinforce that they're making the right decision by contacting you. If they're more interested in like signing up for a class or an event or something along those lines, that's where you can then cross promote some other upcoming events or encourage them to follow you on social media or sign up for your newsletter to be notified of future activities and events that are taking place.
Awesome. Those are great suggestions, and I think it's just so important that you think about the process soup to nuts.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Lori, This has been fabulous. Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Oh, I loved it. We crammed in a lot in a short amount of time.
Well, that's kind of what we do. And if you are feeling like you want to learn more because we buzzed by it too fast, you definitely want to check out keystoneclick.com, and you want to check out the Social Capital Podcast. Lori, thanks again.
All right. This is great. Thanks a lot, Lorraine.
Thank you. And if you're looking for other resources for your business, be sure to check out other episodes of More Than a Few Words wherever you listen to podcasts. Listen to two. They're short. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening.